Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Breer, and welcome to episode 39 of the 11FM Fintech Insider Breakfast Show, brought to you this morning by our good friends over at MyTech. If you did not know, MyTech delivers bank-grade identity verification with the highest possible assurance levels, massively reducing risk, fraud, and costs. In this show, we bring you the best and the brightest from around the fintech and banking landscape every single weekday, straight into your homes at 8:30 BST, here live on LinkedIn. Today, I'm really thrilled to be joined by Dr. Robin Kiera, who is an insurtech influencer, CEO of Digitalscouting.de, and many more things as well. We're going to be talking about all the things that's happening in the fintech, insurtech space, and any trends that he's seen during this and what we hope we will get to at some point on the other side of all of this crisis. So, Robin, thank you so much for getting up early and joining us. How's it going?
Very well. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. For anybody who doesn't know you, I mean, I gave you a bit of an introduction then, but it'd be good to kind of hear a little bit more about your background and, I mean, the stuff that you love doing. And we had Nigel Walsh on a couple of days ago, and I said, like, he's one of the most passionate people, but you're well and truly up there as well, right? This subject matter we cover, it's easy when you love the thing, isn't it?
It's totally easy. I always say, I don't have a job. I actually have a hobby that I'm allowed to do full time. But maybe to start, I'm a recovering insurance sales agent, but I have been clean for over 7 years now. So that's my story. I started at the bottom of the food chain trying to sell insurance, and I was actually at some point really fed up with it. Why? Because you had the headquarter that sells. It is June. You need to sell now 50 accident insurance. And I always ask the C-suits when you had a chance to meet them, how does the headquarter know what my client I have a meeting with next week actually needs? And this was the time before BI and AI and all of these things. And the C-suits always said, we don't know, but sell those accident insurances anyway. And I was like, this has nothing to do with how you should sell. So it's a little bit our passion to change that, to change the way insurance and finance products are sold. What happened with digital scouting, at some point I was standing on stages and ranting about the situation. And I always thought to myself, and if I never get a job in this industry again, I don't care. We need to talk about a few things. And instead of getting beaten off stage, I got a lot of invitations. And at some point, at that point, I was working at a private bank, and at some point, digital scouting blew up, 10,000 of followers, we became actually a real company.
Fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit more about digital scouting. What is it? What is it you do there?
So we get called when, for example, sales departments are not performing. Currently, you have the situation that the sales manager cannot go to the client, or even in retail bank or wealth management, they cannot, visit them physically. Or you have sales partners that try to sell over these channels, and these employed sales manager cannot, go and visit the branches and agencies and brokers. And we solve this actually with what we call attention hacking, where we say, okay, you need to hack the attention of your target group, not only the end consumer, that's also something what we do, but of this multiplicators, the people that you need to sell, that they sell your products. And we do it with a lot of content. But the big difference is, do not send them via WhatsApp a video made from the headquarter, because then it just looks like vanilla. What you need to do is, what we make is like the person, the sales manager that's known, does some nice and funny content, but like professionally made. And I think that's the big difference. And we see a rise in sales and a drop in costs. And I think that's something C-suits like to hear these days.
Yeah, I mean, I know me and you have talked about this a number of times kind of offline, but really subscribe to that. It's all about content that really sort of drives and adds value, isn't it? So and it's great, like you say, really big incumbent organizations are really sort of waking up to that now, because it changes the dynamic, doesn't it, in terms of the people who you build those relationships with. If you're adding them value with the content that you're producing and the way in which you're going about it, there's a really different relationship that's fostered, isn't there?
Yeah, and the relationship difference is between the end consumer and the sales manager and the sales manager that has a lot of agents, brokers, retail bankers, wealth managers beneath him or as partners. And I think what we want to do is to make the micro influencers in their community. And the funny thing is, if you look at bankers that are super successful, if you look at insurance agents or brokers that are super successful since decades, that's what they have been doing all over. We just add the little bit of digital flower on it, and we make it scalable. And that's something that's super interesting. And we have already first successes in the market that show that it's really, really working. And beside that, we also do like general branding campaigns.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So many people kind of jumping in this morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for jumping in. Janet, always great to see you this morning. Lucy, always great to see you as well. Raul, back every day. Raul, thank you so much. Rita Martins, good morning. Tanya, good morning as well. George Kelsey, good morning. Great to see you all. As always, if there's any questions or comments as we go through, if you drop them into the comments over on LinkedIn, we'll just weave them into the conversation as we go. It's been a super interesting week, Robin. I guess I'm starting, if I'm honest with you, I was saying to some of my team, starting to get a bit bored just going to the same desk every morning. I have to say, I feel like the hiatus of the working from home piece, I think, worked for a little while, and now I'm used to just being in different places and moving around. But I mean, you guys have been remote from the start of Digital Scouting. How are you finding this sort of more enforced period of working from home?
Well, I have to be quite honest. So at the beginning, we were a hobby. We were just a blog, and we had a lot of fans that helped us. At some point, we needed to hire people, and the problem is, without any business model or revenue and any investors, because I didn't want that, it's quite hard to hire like style buildings and stuff. So we looked at the best people around the world, which we could actually afford, and that's what we found. And that was the reason why we are now around the world, and that's a super strength because we have also insights from these regions. What has hit us actually is I love conferences, I love meeting people, even Nigel Walsh. Personally, who always jumps into my we really when we meet, it's really, really great. So conferences are gone, but it's not only that I miss all this hugging and meeting all the people, and my wife always says it's time that you meet your insurance friends again. But I think it's also a sales channel for us, because that's where we meet people, where we have the conversation. So actually we got cut off of one of our main sales channels, and less meetings with clients. But what is not too bad, because we do a lot of workshops and all of our work now, even inside of Europe, remotely, and that saves me a lot of time, and I have a little bit more time to spend time with my daughter on the playground.
Yeah, I mean, you've got your daughter's 3, I think, isn't she? Is that right? How's that been? I mean, it's a bit of an interesting balancing act, isn't it, with small children sort of running around the house. How have you found sort of business time and lifetime?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I don't want to downplay that. My wife and I, we try to share this. She also has a super demanding job, and it's not only like a 3-year-old. We have also one on the way, so it's super intense. Yeah, we work in shifts. I'm now in the office. She is currently also in the office, but we have a babysitter. But normally it's like one of us that works in shifts, and everybody, she works in the morning. I then come to the office at lunchtime and work a little bit until night, and we all work until 11 or 12 p.m. And it's challenging, but I don't want to cry around, because we want to achieve something, so that's okay. But it's exhausting. Funnily enough, I don't know what Tiger King is. Let's put it that way.
Come on, you gotta do that. I think this downtime over this period, we all bonded over Tiger King, so you've got to catch up on that one, I have to say. But it is difficult, like you say. It's that balancing act. We've definitely told everybody at 11FS it's fit work around life at this point, because I think with regards to everything that's happened from the pandemic side of things, then I mean, this is not something that's just affecting business. It's affecting everybody's loved ones and their families and their friends. So, the world is way more important than work, isn't it? But that's really, really easy to say to other people. I think it's when you're Robin, when it's your company and you're building it, then it's almost like you're third kid, I guess,
Yeah.
now, given you've got another one on the way, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And but again, there are people out there that have really health situations and fighting for their life. So I mean, we always need to put these things into perspective. But again, that was the challenging part. And if anybody out there has some good tips how to handle that better, I'm totally open to get some secret sauce there. But of course, when you have to run a company and the pandemic hit and a super, at least potential large economic crisis, there you have a lot of funny phone calls. Let's put it that way.
So what do you think sort of how has your business been impacted during this period? Has it sort of impacted it a lot? Have you seen a kind of a downtick in people kind of knocking on the door, or is it sort of been quite steady state?
No. So what happened is we have very great clients. People that start working with us tend to do that for a long time and stick with us. So really, really great. If you guys watch out there, I know you know who you are. But of course, a lot of leads. I mean, we have large banks, large insurers, large consulting companies, tech providers, solution providers that were putting everything on hold. And that's okay. I understand. I mean, I would not invest a lot of money for that if you have these uncertain times and you need to pile up cash, because on your end, things are drying up too. So I have total understanding of that. But, you know, if you have the cost line you need to generate, we needed to do a few things actually to replace that and to make this year still a success. But currently, we have that a lot of business is coming now in again from insurers and banks that say we need to do something.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think I was very much expecting, and I briefed 11FS on this. I was very much expecting such a significant downturn, but we're really seeing people using this as a catalyst for doing more things differently, which is good. You know, when I think I was very concerned that the world would come to a halt, very much like what we saw with 2008. But and the reality really is I think I know I've sort of said it quite a few times on this show, so it's almost going to become a sing along. But I think the advancements that people kind of made with working from home policies and structures and remote working technology that they sort of deployed, they're sort of seeing the benefit that they had of really just focusing on executing. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they sort of do next on this side of things. But I see. I mean, you guys have done a very similar thing to that we have. You've got a great weekly show that goes out there. I mean, how are you finding this period in terms of how you start communicating with your audience and your clients? Have you sort of found there's a different sort of rhythm to it now?
Yeah, so but I think what's important is what did we do first is we cared about, you know, our families of mine and the employees, to think about to save them. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew, you know, if we would have situations like in northern Italy or in Ecuador or things. I didn't know, so we need to make sure that we are all covered and safe there. And after that, what I did, even a few days before the real crisis hit, I called every single of our clients. Said, I know things are going to hit the fan. We will find solution for everything. How can we help? And if I don't hear anything from you for 4 weeks, also totally fine. Just know you can call us at any time with the most strangest request. We are there for you. And then what I did, I put everything on hold. I mentally put all revenue we had to zero. I think it's super important to ask yourself the question, what do I need to do now if I would have no revenue at all and I did not have anything cash in the bank, no runway, what would we need to do? What would we need to do now? And then one part of that, of course, was we need to go out there. We need to use this, accept the reality, but also use this as an opportunity. I saw no conferences. What I also saw, a lot of people I had face-to-face conversations with, great ideas, super great tactics, how to help the company, help your clients. And I wanted to collect these best practices from around the world and to put it publicly out there in order to share this. Maybe what was also a coping mechanism for myself, because I had a little bit of free time suddenly, because March would have been one of the high season of conferences and events and clients and meetings and all of that. So that's that. And what I also did is, behind the scenes, we came together and said, we need to now not to watch Netflix or not to do the garden. We do massive action and see what sticks. So, you know, we need to introduce new products, new pricing models, new content behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, just to see from the mentally state of mind to put yourself to zero revenue in order to, develop new things and new opportunities. And I wanted, when the dust settles, come out running and not, standing from the couch and say, what again am I going to do now? Because to be quite honest, I was shocked by a lot of business or small business owners here around the corner that, some that went to delivery service restaurants and did that, and cool actions. You can buy 10 pizzas now, pay only 8 and deliver later. Cool things, but a lot did nothing. And I was like, oh, I don't want to, the government is not going to bail out me.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Like, I think, like, say, if you can, I mean, I've sort of said this on social a few times. It's like, I think in these times there are definitely opportunities, and like you and we have done with how you sort of mixed up content and how you've sort of tried to take it to where people are. I mean, the delivery, like you say, when it comes to growth hacking techniques, then it's all really about attention, and it's all really about going to where your audience are. And overnight, people are not on trains or planes consuming content. They're not, sat at their desks in their office sort of with 10 minutes before they go get the train. They're in their homes. So actually going to where your audience are when they can consume your content is really, really sensible. I mean, there's lots of sort of trends, I guess, kind of coming out even in this period, right? Yeah. Have you seen anything change or any new trends sort of emerging over this period? Because it feels like there's I know the sort of new normal is really sort of a worn out term right now, but it feels like the period that we're in, there's a very different pattern of trends that we're seeing.
I think the biggest strength from my side is we got at some point a lot of calls from sales organizations. They said, Robin, I know you have been annoying me with all these proposals and ideas and things, and I've always said, yeah, tomorrow. But we're not selling anymore, or it's down 90%, and we're totally, in a mess. And what should we do? Really, I think and the funny thing is, we did a few things with some clients, and they said, Robin, why have not we done this before? Why did it need to take a pandemic until we actually thought about how to detach the sales success of our sales manager with physical action? It is a no-brainer that a sales manager sends to his 50 retail bankers or 100 agents content made by him out. So I think that's one trend I see in my niche is I think we will never sell insurance products or bank products like we have before. On the other hand, I need to say, I see also resistance already. So we have the revolution side, but I also see the resistance side. Senior decision makers that were really, really afraid a few weeks ago, now while the world did not end, say, oh, we go return back. I don't want this home office. I want my people in my room. So we have revolution and restoration at the same time. And I'm really, really curious how that's playing out. And again, I think the way we sell our products will change. And I hope also that it behind it changes. I mean, also banks and insurers are, thinking about putting out more content and not only like pushing accident insurance down the throat of the client. And I really hope that the philosophy, the way we think about clients also changes. Help them, share your knowledge, and really help your clients and also the people that sell your products out there.
So do you see that? I mean, in this period of time where people are sales have tanked for sort of so many different organizations. Do you think that's driving them to be a bit braver, to almost have to try different tactics to try and reach their audiences? Is that I think ultimately that will be a benefit to you, won't it?
I can tell you of a meeting I attended where we were present also with other providers, and there was some internal resistance, and I had this very senior, super respectful person, and he was starting screaming. He said, when he heard this, oh, we cannot do it, and what's about compliance, and on these and that, and all of that, he was like, I don't care, we're going down. I need to use some really strong words, which you don't do in business in Germany. So I think that's the thing that changed. There's no room for the stupid excuses. If your revenue is down 2-digit in percent.
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely sort of focuses people's mind on doing whatever they need to do to sort of get through that, don't they? So, I mean, I guess on the other side of this, I'm pretty optimistic though. I mean, I think the fintech and the insurtech industry, I think are being built on pretty solid foundations, haven't they? And I think actually not just fintech and insurtech, but the big incumbent insurers, the big incumbent banks. It feels like actually on the other side of this, there's a lot of good things that I hope will be continued, whether it's working from home or other practices. How about yourself? Do you see a bright future for the industry post COVID, whenever that is?
What I really like is we have seen the last years, especially in the insurance industry, small and mid-sized player doing the homework, ripping apart their legacy IT, replacing it with all the pain of a migration. We have seen people doing new strategies in how to set up their sales departments, or even how to, deal with clients. We see new products on the horizon, insurtech and incumbents alike. And now they get rewarded because they can provide functional processes that work 100% remote and others not. So I think it's the reward for those, or we will see the reward for those who have been doing out of strategic or understanding of the situation, the right thing over the last years. And I think we will see more successes of players we would have not thought about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like you say, the market shifts, and therefore the marketeers have to shift, as well as the products have to shift as well. It's all the way through that value chain. There's lots of questions over on LinkedIn about the sort of concept of attention hacking and growth hacking. Can you talk a little bit more about attention hacking? Because I think it's a really almost a kind of a principle number one of being able to market in today's world. But do you want to just unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, so the idea is, let's start. When we started, we did not have any clue about marketing. When I was as a student, as a pupil in high school, I worked for the local newspaper. That's it. But so what we did is we just tried out things for and then we scaled that as crazy as we could, and we stopped the things that did not work. Sounds very simple, but I'm surprised how few people in that space did it. And at some point, what we saw when we hardcore put content out there that was relevant for our passionate group, insurance. I mean, it's just what our passion is, and also a little bit of banking. And what we saw there is, at some point, clients were coming in. They were coming into our door, and we were like, the funny story is, at the beginning we had a lot of requests for meetings, and then they always pay the senior decision makers, pay your lunch when they have the lunch meeting. It took us a long time to understand that it's actually business. But at that point, what we saw is, I remembered at some point my times as an insurance agent, where I would have wished that the client actually comes to me in the moment of need, and not I call him and then he says, "Oh, Robin, I just bought a house." I like, "Congratulations, why didn't you do the financing and mortgage with me?" And that's what I saw is, when you put out hardcore content at some point into your community that's value to them and the channels where they are, then the people come to you when they want help. And sometimes you can help them, sometimes you do some business, sometimes not. And that's what I think that's the base idea of attention hacking, is that you become part of the daily life of your target group. That you think, okay, on which channels are there? And unemotionally. Unemotionally, we went on TikTok, not because I like doing that, but actually because to test out, is our target audience there or not? And you need to be super unemotionally about the channels. Okay. And on the other hand, where's their attention and what kind of things do they like? I mean, the amount of white papers that still are produced, it's staggering. And sometimes, you have consulting companies or tech companies coming and say, "Oh, nobody reads our white papers." And I say, "I'm not surprised." And then they say how much they invested in it. And I was like, "Oh my God." And I think attention hacking is to think about, where's the attention of your target group, and not only about the end client. Also, when you're a manager of a sales team, of 5 sales managers or 50 agents, doesn't matter. You think, where's the attention? What kind of apps and websites are they using, and how can I provide them? I can provide them content that is curated, or content by me that helps them in their lives. Like you are doing here with the daily live show. I mean, the best thing is if you break into the daily routine of your target group, and they say, "Okay, I'm in the office at 8:15 in London, and at 8:30 I sit down, and first of all I have my coffee and listen to Red David." I think that's a very good example. And again, social media is not about new colors and being fancy and it's cool. It's about sales, and especially when you're in the B2B space, but even in the B2C space, this is super significant, and especially in times in which you cannot, go to the client. So again, to summarize, attention hacking is to see where's the attention of the target group, and then look and flood them with content. And the idea is to maybe strategically is what you do. You detach Physical action, like I do a call, I write an email, I do a visit. That's limited in 24 hours or 8 work hours. But you can, have 5,000 clients, 500 clients, and communicate daily with them when you do it over these channels where they are anyway. And I think that's what attention hacking is. And it's always be open about the channels. If there's something new popping up, not say, oh, that's just for the young, that's just for college students. I mean, that's the stupid excuses we all had against Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and look at us, look at us now. And maybe one more thing. What we do is everything I preach, I do myself. So we really do all this stuff ourselves, and you can always look at us. Do you want to have the same results or not?
See, I really subscribe to that, if I'm honest with you. I mean, when we started out, I remember the meeting really well. When we started out with 11FS, me and Ross and Jason and Simon kind of sat around a table. Very much it was like, well, we're going to start competing with companies who do TV adverts, who sponsor Wimbledon, who sponsor an entire wing of an airport. How do you compete with that? Well, you don't really. You compete with it by playing a completely different game in terms of actually where you go. And for us, actually, it drives I think particularly when you look at the opportunities that actually new media distribution kind of gives you, it kind of breeds just a different level of connection with people, which I think is really important. I really subscribe to the things that you're saying, Robin. I think it's part and parcel for me on how to run a business in 2020. It's really about authenticity. It's really about distribution of key messages, but doing it in a way where your audience can consume it where they are. But we could probably talk about growth hacking and everything about attention for hours and hours and hours. And we probably should do that as a topic actually if we want to get together, Robin. Let's get that set up, because I think there's lots and lots and lots of things that I think big companies can learn from. Look, when you start a company, when we started 11FS and we had no money in the bank, how do you create marketing when you have no money? What's the approach to do those things? How do you earn it rather than buy it? And we've just kept on those principles for the last 4 years. And exactly like you're saying with your clients, Robin, then it's for us, it's now just the way that we do business.
Yeah, I could not add anything more. It's great. And let's do the several hour sessions sometime in the future.
Let's do it. I think a marathon episode on new age marketing. We'll get Eric in from our side as well, and get a bunch of people together. But all right, guys, unfortunately we're probably timing out now. I know it's Friday and you guys have got a lot to go and do, so thank you so much for joining me, Robin. Where can people learn a little bit more about you and your business?
Yeah, join us, have a look at our site, digitalscouting.de, and of course LinkedIn, Twitter, and make us famous on TikTok, because before my daughter grows up into that age, I want that she finds pretty uncool that I'm there.
Immortalized forever. Wonderful. All right, guys, that is all we have for you this week. Stay safe and get some well-deserved rest over the weekend, and we will be back on Monday. I have to say, on Monday and all of next week, we have a ridiculous lineup for you. So on Monday, I'm going to be joined by Nadia Sood, who is the founder and CEO of Credit Enable. On Tuesday, we have Rajesh Agrawal, Deputy Mayor of London for Business, which is going to be an amazing show. He's really inspirational. You'll kind of love that one, I'm sure. On Wednesday, we've got Ryan Garner from 11FS. He's one of the product leads and a really big advocate for everything that's happening in the jobs to be done space. He's going to be talking about the new research report that 11FS has got out looking at US SMBs. Super interesting. On Thursday, we've got Claire Calmajan tuning in from all the way from France. If you don't know Claire, she's the Chief Innovation Officer at SocGen. Really interesting subject. She's done some amazing things previously at Lloyds Banking Group over here in London, and really sort of taken that mantle on to do amazing things over in SocGen. On Friday, bit of a different one, this one. We've got Jamie Heaslip, who is former rugby union player for Ireland and now head of brand and marketing at a company called Flender. It's going to be a really interesting show. I'm a big believer that sports people make really good business people. So it'd be great to get Jamie's tips and see what he's up to now with Flender. All right, guys, going to be an awesome lineup. What an awesome lineup we've had this week as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really wouldn't be able to do this without you guys tuning in every single day. So thank you so much. And to say thank you for that, actually on Monday, we're going to be announcing a really, really interesting competition. The prize for this one is definitely something that I think you guys will really, really want to jump on board. So make sure you tune in on Monday. I'll tell you about it at the top of the show. That's all that we've got for you this week, though, guys. Have a great weekend and see you on Monday. Thank you.